Got an idea for a podcast and think you have the talent to make it a reality? Already have a podcast, but thinking you could take it up a notch, but you're just not sure how to do it? Well, Toxic Entertainment has everything you need to go from podcasting to podcasting. Bring us your talent, your passion, and your best ideas. We'll bring to the table our state-of-the-art technology and comfortable facility, creative and professional staff dedicated to bringing your ideas to life, competitively priced packages to suit your goals and budget, and over 10 years of experience as a leader in the podcasting field. Toxic Entertainment offers quality and affordability that can't be beat. When you're ready to start your journey, Toxic Entertainment is here to help you reach your destination. Learn more at toxicentertainment.net or call 888-66-TOXIC to arrange a studio tour. That's 888-66-86942. Toxic Entertainment, where creativity meets passion.
Hey, buddy. Brah. Hey, man, that's a sweet heavy metal happy hour t-shirt. Where'd you pick that up?
Thanks, dude. I got it at the Toxic Radio shop.
Toxic Radio has a shop?
Yeah, dude. It's in the app or online at toxicradio.net.
That is sweet.
Yeah, and I also got a rockin' Toxic Radio hoodie and a Red Band Underground shirt. Dude, I'm gonna look so rockin' at the party tomorrow.
Well, I think you look pretty now.
Oh, wait, what?
The Toxic Radio shop is the place to get all your Toxic Radio gear. Shirts, hoodies, stickers. Find it at toxicradio.net or on the app. Don't buy it safe. Buy it toxic. Hey, where you going, man?
All sports talk shows are the same, right?
I am bothered by everything.
You gotta go back to football school.
The goal of this guy, it's just immeasurable.
Wrong. In a world filled with talking heads more interested in their own celebrity than actually knowing the sports world, it's hard to find the people who really care about sports first. Look no further. Wire to Wire has it all covered. These guys have the knowledge and the cred to back up their opinions. No hot takes to get attention, just straight up opinions. Know anyone else who correctly called the 2020 World Series and March Madness? How about 70% on the NFL and NCAA football last year? You don't. Bottom line, these guys know their shit. They aren't doing it for attention, they're doing it for passion. Wire to Wire, live every Wednesday, 8:30 Eastern, only on Toxic Radio and wherever you find podcasts.
Welcome, everybody, to Wire Sports Podcast. I am your host, Gene Walzak, the NFL genius. And to my right, I got the man, the myth, the legend, Uncle Shally.
What's up?
Pitching gems on the diamond last night. Leading his team to the championship.
Another squeaked one out last night. Good team victory.
Coming to us remote, we got Kent State's own, Cleveland's own, coming from Columbus, Ohio. We have College Cottrell.
What's going on, guys?
Rocking that Miami Heat jersey, the D-Wade action.
White hot.
Listen, I'm glad you're rolling it. I'm telling you, Boston wins tonight. Boston wins Game 6. Celtics in 6. As I've said, that's what's going to happen. I'm just going to help you out in advance. Early voting. I've seen the future. Golden State versus Boston. But talking a lot of shit. This is a very special show to me. You know why it's so special? You know what show number we're on?
It's gotta be like 90s.
No, it's not 90s.
88.
85. And I was born in 1985. I was born in 85 myself. So it's a special show. It's a show of birth.
It's my birthday show then.
Yes.
August 5th.
August 5th. See, like it matches everywhere.
What are you bringing to the show, bud?
I'm a big Chad Johnson fan. That's about all I got.
Chad Ocho Nueve. No,
Not the same level, but
no,
I'll allow it.
What's up, Topper on the wire line already. But we got a lot to get into. We have the NBA playoffs, which is in full swing. We're going to talk about the awards a little bit. First team, second team, third team. I have some serious comments on that.
Fucking terrible.
I think. I'll wait till we get to that part. But I have like a really good point to get into. We got to recap the PGA and the ponies. I got the ponies right. Who got the PGA right? Was it you, Cottrell, or was it you?
Bill. That was
Bill got it right?
All 4 of my picks were in the top 10.
Look at that. Bill's making people money on the golf.
Just saying.
I just gotta stick to the
Epicenter
Masters.
came in second again, man.
What?
Damn Epicenter. I said Epicenter
Bro,
came in second
that horse
again.
has been screwed twice. The Kentucky Derby was like a furlong too long, and then the Preakness was a furlong too short. I don't know. I hope he runs him in the Belmont and he wins, but that's a long race. We'll talk about that next
Listen,
week.
early voting, guys. I got it in early, and it was early voting. But we got a ton to get into, and we're gonna talk about the NIL. Jimbo Fisher, Deion Sanders, and Nick Saban.
Texas A&M at Bama is gonna be spicy.
I can't wait to watch Bama at Texas. Isn't that like September 9th? Like one of the first couple weeks.
It's their first game, I believe.
I can't wait to watch
It's,
that.
by ESPN's metric, it's Alabama's toughest game all season.
Quinn Ewers is starting, right?
We don't know that
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. Probably.
Looking forward to
I don't
that.
think he's gonna start.
Their starting quarterback from last year transferred out already, so there's not much competition for them there.
They like that other kid. We'll see.
And then we got to talk about Jordan Addison, which the whole thing with Jordan Addison transferring out, so we're going to get into that. But we got a lot to get into. I think the main topic is the NBA playoffs right now. They're going strong. I don't think we could be more accurate on the Golden State versus Dallas series. Golden State's up 3-1. We said Dallas would take one game at home, and Golden State would wrap it up in Game 5. But let's talk about it. Let's break it down a little bit. I think that there's a lot of things to be said about that series as a whole. But Golden State looks like they're just hitting on all cylinders. Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, Kevon Looney, Jordan Poole, Jonathan Kuminga.
They just have too much. I mean, it's too much, all of them, and just not enough Luka to go around. I mean, you've had games this series already where Luka's been in the high 30s, and they're still losing by 10, 15 points. They're just outgunned. It's just a better roster. I mean, it's no slight to Luka whatsoever, or Dallas. I mean, they have a nice little team. They're getting better. They have a couple young guys that have grown up a little bit this year and getting better. Chemistry seemed to be a lot better since they got rid of Porzingis. And I think Jason Kidd's been great for Luka. He's definitely a different player at the end of the year than he was at the beginning of the year. And I think that relationship will continue to get better and keep making Luka better. But as far as this is a series, it's over. I think Golden State, I don't want to say they mailed it in last night, but you knew they were going to have an off game. I think with everything else that was going on in Texas yesterday as well. I mean, I think that just all led to a Dallas win. I think they closed it out. They're going to go home, sleep in their own beds tonight, tomorrow, and close it out tomorrow night. And that's going to be a wrap.
Just a fun question, Cottrell. I know you've been keeping up with the series. Who would you say Dallas's third and fourth best player is? So, like, Luka's their best player. Jalen Brunson would be second, right? Who would you say their third and fourth best player are?
That's
just threw this one at you. I know.
Say Finney
I would
Smith's gotta be one of
say
them.
most of the time I probably would go Finney Smith and Dinwiddie, but
Okay.
I don't know. This series has been weird because Luka can't really get that production from other people. Like Reggie Bullock just went absent in a few games. Like normally that's like your go-to bucket, but
The reason I brought this up is, like, you could argue Reggie Bullock and Maxi Kleber would be their third and fourth guys. Like, you could argue
but
that,
Reggie's
right?
only been there 2 out of the 4 games.
No, but you could argue that it could be their third or fourth best player, right?
You absolutely could. You absolutely could.
In 65 total minutes in a must-win Game 3, between Reggie Bullock, 40 minutes, and Maxi Kleber, 25 minutes, they scored as much as me and you, Cottrell. And they shot a lot worse, too. They shot Reggie Bullock was 0 for 10, 0 for 7 from 3. And Maxi Kleber was 0 for 5, all 3-pointers. 0 points. It's 65 minutes. Listen, I can't. I know I can't. But, like, I was listening to Shannon Sharp. Him and Skip were talking, and he said that if I played 40 minutes of basketball, and I'm not an NBA basketball player, I could get at least 2 points. And it's just like Reggie Bullock played 40 minutes of basketball without a point.
If you're Maxi Kleber, you should be able to get 2 points no matter what, just because of how big he is. I kind of understand Reggie. He's He's normally hitting in the corner, just waiting for Luka to dish him the rock. He's not cutting to the rim. He's not posting anybody up. He's not getting rebounds and putting them back up. So I kind of understand him more, Reggie. But Maxey absolutely should have got at least 2.
That's terrible. You can't shoot that bad. Golden State's better. They're just better.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Luka
No doubt about
Doncic.
it.
I think Luka Doncic needs a Robin. Like, who could be Luka's Robin going into the offseason? Because, like, they don't have one on that team.
I mean, there's some interesting names out there. I mean, I think it's going to depend on where people end up signing or if signing trades are available. They got to re-sign Brunson too, so I mean, they're going to have to deal with that. I mean, you got the big ones out there. You got Beal, you got Levine.
Got Ayton.
I mean,
I think Ayton's a terrible.
I mean, Luka doesn't want to play a game with a big. I mean, I think that was part of the reason why him and Porzingis didn't get along, on the court. I don't think he wants to play that type of game. I don't think he wants to play high-low, inside-out. I think Luka would be more, benefited from having a shooting guard or a slasher type like a Levine or a Beal. I think that's where you need to go in that aspect with him.
It's just tough because, like, there's a lot of superstars that you could fit a lot of players around. Like, so for instance, Joel Embiid. A lot of people will fit around Joel.
Mm-hmm.
You could put Beal with him. You could put Levine with him. Like, the fits would be easy. It would be seamless fits. Steph Curry. You could put anybody with him, man. Anybody. Like,
Yes.
You can't put Dame Lillard. Maybe you could put Dame with him. I just, like, you could put almost anybody with Steph Curry. Luka is, like, it's very specific. You can't put almost anybody with Luka Doncic. He's just different.
I don't know.
He's different,
I don't know
and he wants the ball in his hand most of the time. So I mean, again, that's a tough fit. I mean, that's not for everybody.
I don't know if it's actually going to happen or not, but I think an interesting name to look out for too. I don't know if Dallas has the capital for him, but if the Nets are serious about not trying to re-sign Kyrie Irving, I wouldn't let him walk for nothing. And if I'm Dallas, a backcourt of Kyrie and Luka could be very interesting, especially if you're looking for another guy to be your Robin to get you some buckets.
So you have two guys that dribble the ball too much, that can't have the ball outside their hand, that play zero defense. That sounds like a great idea.
Hey, if you can outscore people, you do what you got to do.
I get it. I think that would be a nightmare. Like, I don't think that the ball would be dribbled enough in a night for those two people. I think Bradley Beal is, and he's another one that doesn't play defense. I just don't know. Like, all right, so like if you take any player in the league, even at availability, like take availability off the table, who would be the player that could play off of Luka? Any player in the league, the player that could play off of Luka best. Like, is it healthy Kawhi?
I mean,
Like,
that definitely
that would be what I think. I don't know.
I mean, you need that type of player. You need a type of player that can come off screens, can play that way. It doesn't need the ball in their hand constantly. So I mean, you narrow the field obviously, and you need a guy that doesn't that wants to be like the number one option, but isn't a selfish guy per se, like not a Kyrie type player.
You need a true Robin though. You can't
Give him
have somebody
Clay.
that wants to be Batman.
Clay,
I think
Clay.
Clay would be great for them. I agree with that.
Just never leaving Golden State though.
I feel like Clay would be great anywhere.
Yeah, Clay can play with anybody.
Anybody.
Yeah.
He plays defense. He shoots threes.
Yeah.
He's smart.
He's just not leaving.
Very intelligent.
He's never leaving Golden State. So.
Great teammate. Me and Clay play together.
Apparently.
Great.
And he shows
teammate.
up in the playoffs,
Always.
especially Game 6.
He might not even make it to game 6.
They're not making game 6.
But okay, so let's talk about Golden State then. Golden State. I'll tell you what surprised me. Best player in the series for Golden State isn't Steph Curry, isn't Klay Thompson, isn't Draymond Green, isn't Jordan Poole. It's Andrew Wiggins, bro. And you know why he's the best player in the series? He drew Luka. Luka's not playing defense. He drew Luka. That dunk that Wiggins had over Luka, wow. And the fact that they originally called that a foul, Steve Kerr's like, no, we can't have this.
It's because Luka flopped, like he got punched in the face. Try to save his his life.
Question for you: that dunk or the Ja Morant dunk? Which one? Gotta give me one.
Ja Morant dunk.
I would say I think Jaws is a little bit of a better dunk because he's a smaller guy too. Wiggins keeps it close just because he dunked over Luka. Like
Correct.
That's why that it becomes a thing. And then Luka flopped and tried to save his reputation. Like we weren't going to replay it 92 times after that happened.
I think it got replayed more because they're checking for flagrants.
Yeah, I'm like,
I will
you
say-
just got smoked.
I will say that dunk to me was way more impressive watching it live than like after I saw it a million times on replay. Don't get me wrong, it was still impressive on replay, but seeing it live, I was like, whoa, like he just put Luka in his grave. Like, I don't know if Luka can recover from this. And then like seeing the replays, like seeing how far he was on certain angles, I'm like, still a great dunk, don't get me wrong. But it's not as bad as I first thought.
I loved Luka's response to it. They asked him about it. He's like, oh, that was good. That was
I
very
wish I had
good.
hops like that.
Yeah, I mean, what the hell is he going to say?
No, I know, but like, some people, it's just a dunk in the game, and
Yeah.
they get like bitter about it. He was just laughing. He was like,
I
that
will
was good.
say too, though, Luka's dunk that he had in that game surprised me a little bit too. I'm like, two steps to the rim and he just took off. I was like, I was not expecting Luka to dunk that basketball. It wasn't on anybody. It was very open lane, but I just wasn't expecting that from him.
He's so good. And like the pressure does not bother him at all. He actually gets better with pressure. They're talking about that like he was playing in the Euro League. He's like, bro, it's like this isn't pressure. I like people throwing stuff at me.
I think
Fireworks going off in the background.
I think he's taken a big step this year, and I mentioned it in like my opening statement. I think you're seeing him compete a little bit more. He still whines a lot, but he seems to be more engaged over the course of a game than he used to be. And he's more engaged with his teammates. Like he's more, like I said, he's more competitive. He cares more about the game. I don't want to say that he didn't before, but like you're starting to see that little bit, like starting to see that like major like killer instinct, like starting to develop with him more than so than the past. And again, I think him being coached by one of the best point guards ever, starting to see Jason Kidd rub off on him. Like Jason Kidd is the first coach he's had really. I mean, Rick Carlisle was hard, like tough with him for the season or two that he had him, but. Like Jason Kidd called him out at the beginning of the year. He's like, he's got to be in better shape. He's like, I'm not going to play him the minutes he wants to play until he gets in better shape. Like he's a professional. He's got to lose weight. He's got to be here and he's got to be able to play at a high level for the 40 minutes he wants to play. I think Jason Kidd was a perfect hire for Luka. And again, I mean, you saw Dallas.
But is he and this is going to sound really stupid, but is he a perfect hire for the Mavericks?
I think so. I mean, that team came out of nowhere in the second half. I think finally everybody got on the same page, bought in. They were, I think, their sixth or seventh best defensive team in the league this year. They're playing Jason Kidd type basketball.
Do you know what team they most remind me of? I'll give you a hint. It hits really close to home.
I hope it's not us.
The 0-1 Sixers. You got Allen Iverson, the do-it-all offensive
I get
weapon,
it. I mean, I think
and a bunch of second-round draft picks.
I think Luka's supporting
Like-
cast is better than ours was.
You might be right.
I get it though. I get the comparison, but I mean, I think if they can get a big name in the offseason, I mean that's a team. Like you said, if you get Luka a true Robin, it's not a team you want to play next year at all.
That team, they play well together too.
They do.
Those guys they've been there. For the most part, that core has been there for a while. Like Davis Bertans just got sprinkled in, but Kleber's been there for a while. Finney Smith at this point has been there for a while. And the other thing that we kind of got to remember is that Tim Hardaway Jr. was kind of playing that Robin role the previous years in the playoffs and in the bubble for the Mavs, and he's not been playing. He's hurt right now. Granted, he's not going to be your true Robin where you're going to depend on him for 20 points a night. But that's a big blow that they don't have on their team right now.
The thing with him is if you can slot him back into like the 3 role, like being your third option, and he's still giving you 15, and you get another bona fide superstar with Luka, that's a very good start. Like he plays defense. Like that's a very good 3 to build around.
Fair points. All right, so we talked about the appetizer. Let's get into the main event. Let's get into dinner. Main course.
Steak.
Celtics. Heat. I've gotten a lot of like flack from people that know I hate the Celtics, but I'm rooting. Like they feel like I'm rooting for them. No, I'm not rooting for them. I call it like I see it. Like they got flack last year for the Phillies. I said the Phillies were going to be 82 and 80 or whatever, 500. They're exactly what I said they were going to be. I got a lot of flack for this Boston team, and I'm telling you, like after I watched them play against Brooklyn, like oh, they're going to the finals. No one's beating them. I didn't think they would go 7 in Milwaukee, but I told you guys after they lost Game 5 that they were going to go to Milwaukee and win Game 6 and win Game 7, and they did exactly that. I'm telling you, Boston's going to win tonight and win Game 6. That series will not go 7. Boston's still going to win tonight, and they're going to win Game 6. They're already winning 4-2. Just kidding, but
You literally just tipped 0-0.
I think that game is that Boston team is just better than Miami. Like I love Miami's heart. I love their grit. But like everything I've been saying is coming to fruition. The guard play has been huge. If Marcus Smart is even remotely healthy, I don't think they lose the game in Boston. They almost made a huge comeback in Game 4. They were down a ton at halftime, and they got that game all the way to 5, which was absurd. I think they were like 26. Go ahead, Control. I could see you puckering up with your Miami Heat swagger. And look, I said, I will be happy to be wrong if I'm wrong. I like Miami better.
My whole thing with that game, though, right there is that Marcus Smart did come back, and Jimmy Butler missed the entire second half, and they still lost. So, like, let's not give the Celtics too much credit here. Essentially, when you got Bam Adebayo going up with a whole bunch of role players, you should come back when you got Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown and all those guys on the court. So I don't want to give them too much credit for coming back when Jimmy Butler was in the locker room for the entire second half. That was the only reason for the face right there. I understand, this series has been a issue with injuries all over the court. So we haven't really seen both these teams at their full strength yet. But I don't want to give one team credit for fighting through injuries when another team is the Heat have also been fighting through their injuries and overcoming everything as well.
It'll be the same tonight. Marcus Smart started. Tyler Hero's not playing. So I don't see what happens.
I think Boston wins tonight and they win Game 6. I think that as a whole, just Boston's backcourt is too much. And then when Tatum drops 40 and has a game like that versus PJ Tucker, I don't know. Like, I think at that point it's like, yeah, you're not the Jason Tatum stopper. Like, he was getting that, like, oh, you're Jason Tatum stopper. And then Tatum goes, we'll find out. I'll drop 40. I don't know. Boston's better. They're just better.
They are the better team, yes. I mean,
100%.
I don't think you get arguments from me there. I really like Spo's adjustments, and you do mention the guard play, and I do think it's been big, but the Heat have won games when their guards have gotten obliterated. So I don't think that's going to just be the end all be all, especially when you can get games like you got out of Bam Adebayo in Game 3, like the 31-point performance. It was huge. I will say that was a game where Robert Williams didn't play, and he looks a lot different when he's being guarded by Robert Williams. But if you can get that kind of performance out of Bam and Jimmy's giving you everything he's got, those Heat role players, they play so much better in Miami, like most role players do. They play better at home. But
agreed.
That Heat team they play so much better and shoot so much better at home, and we've seen that throughout the whole entire playoffs. I just think they got a shot to roll with the Celtics team, and I still got them winning this series.
Jimmy Butler starts the game 0-for-3.
Over 4 now.
He just got a bucket.
Just a thought process. But Jimmy's the man, and Jimmy is the heart and soul of that team. I just can't look at a team. Gabe Vincent, Max Strus, Kyle Lowry. By the way, I was wrong about that. Lowry had 10 points.
He had 11.
11.
Sure did.
I was wrong about, and he had 3 the next game.
Hey, that's 14.
Yeah, I said 8. I don't know. I thought they would be done by this point. I didn't think that Lowry would score 10 in a game or 11. But he still looked terrible scoring 11, just to be clear.
Yeah, I mean, he's
5 turnovers.
He's playing on one leg. I mean, it is what it is at this point. And he's not the guy that's going to give you 20 a night anymore anyway. I mean, that's just not what they're asking him to do.
So, how do you think tonight plays out? And Cottrell's already said that he still has Miami win the series. I'm guessing you have Miami winning 5-7, right?
Correct.
Same.
You have Miami winning 5 and 7.
I think Miami guts it out somehow tonight.
I love being on my branch. I love it.
I think
My own little branch.
I think Boston will win handily on what's today? Wednesday, so they play Friday. And then
Well, yeah, I mean, if Miami wins tonight, Boston has shown that they respond great to losses.
Yeah.
And they play so much better at home, just in general. So they're going to win, and whatever the spread is, take them. If it's 8-point spread, take them. They're winning by 17, 18 points in Boston in Game 6.
What's your thought process on? Do you think that if Boston somehow wins tonight, do you think the series is over? Or do you think Miami can go to Boston and steal another one?
I don't. I think if Boston wins tonight, I think it ends on Saturday or Friday.
I think it's possible for Miami to win. If Tyler Hero is not playing, I think it's impossible for them to win, just because I think Tyler Hero would just be the one guy who could create some shots, and I wouldn't be afraid of him, just being as cold as all the other guys in Boston. So I think it's possible for them to win if Hero plays. If Hero doesn't play, I'd say they have a 0% chance to win that game.
Okay. I don't know. Like, from looking at the matchups and looking at everything in the series, here's my same question: what did the Heat do next year with Kyle Lowry?
I mean, we signed a 3-year deal.
Yes.
Ain't going nowhere.
I think you try to force him into retirement.
Yes.
I think you push that as much as you can, and you kind of tell him like, hey, if you don't want to retire, we're going to have to get you out of here. We'll probably package you up with the first, and we got to make this roster better. We love you. We appreciate what you did for us, but we're trying to win a championship while we have this window open.
I couldn't agree with you more. And let me just say this for everybody listening there. I love Kyle Lowry. I loved him his whole career. I loved him from Nova, period. You can see he's cooked. It's not injured. It's cooked. Like, yes, he is injured. He's cooked. He's just not the same player he was. Just is what it is. Nothing against Kyle.
So, I mean, to an extent, too. I mean, he's been battling so many injuries for
he's been hurt pretty much
the past
all year.
few years. So at this point, him getting older, he's not going to get any healthier. Even with a full off season, like, he might be healthy for the first few games, but these are injuries that are going to just keep nagging him. So, I mean, at the end of the day, he's had a great career. He's probably going to be a Hall of Famer. So it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world if he called it a career. He's a champion, so he can go out and it'd be perfectly fine.
Okay, so I want to move into All NBA. I've been waiting to talk about this. Can we move into All NBA?
Absolutely.
Do you mind throwing that graphic up for me? This is the All NBA first, second, and third team. So first team: Luka Doncic, Devin Booker, Jason Tatum, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Nikola Jokic. Second team: Steph Curry, Ja Morant, DeMar DeRozan, Kevin Durant, and Joel Embiid. And then your third team is CP3, Trae Young, LeBron James, Pascal Siakam, and Kat. My question is, if these three teams were in a 5-on-5 tournament, what team would you put your money on? To me, it's the second team. I think the second team beats the first team in 5.
I don't necessarily disagree with that.
In 5?
In 5.
I say maybe 6.
I don't think you beat Giannis. I don't think any team you craft around Giannis with all-stars you can beat in 5. I'll say that.
Okay.
I'm just looking matchup. Like, if you just go like the player that's above them, I just don't. I mean, I guess maybe you are. I mean, I'll give you Tatum over DeRozan. Giannis is going to do certain things that Durant can't, but Durant's also going to do Durant things. JoJo's going to beat Joker heads up, and I'll take Steph Curry and Ja over Luka and Booker.
I agree. Everything.
I think
it's so weird.
I think I'm taking the first team, man. Especially if it was a playoff series. DeMar DeRozan's not going to show up, so you're already playing 4-on-5 at that point.
Take that L.
He'll play defense, though.
Yeah, I mean, he'll play defense, but defense doesn't win you games.
To be fair, I mean, Devin Booker won't show up either.
Still be sulking about Kendall.
He'll show up for the first
He's
half
really-
of the series. At
I got
least.
bad. Devin Booker's going to average about 13 points a year next year. I got bad news for you. Devin Booker's going to average about 13 points a game next year. I got bad news for all you Devin Booker fans.
All right, so what are your thoughts on the first team, second team, third team?
I mean, we're all going to jump at once on this, or what are we going to do?
I looked at you.
I mean, listen, the
Yeah,
glaring
Bill,
the
go
glaring the glaring BS thing here is that Joel Embiid is not on the first team. They made a specific thing this year where you could pretty much vote your three big guys in any kind of position you wanted to, if you felt like you could put Joker as a forward or put JoJo as a forward if you felt they were deserving. The guy finished second in MVP voting, which was highly debatable in its own right. He led the league in scoring. Clearly, I mean, again, I was one of the people that, I wanted JoJo to win, but I understand how Joker won the MVP. But that being said, Jason Tatum has no business being on that first team over Joel Embiid. Like, none. It's not a Boston hate thing. I actually like Jason Tatum a lot. I think he's a great player. Joel Embiid had a better season. He's more deserving. That's a joke. And he actually got more votes as a forward, and he still didn't make the team. So I need somebody to explain that when they literally changed the rules to avoid this exact situation this year.
Control.
I mean, I do think that Bill definitely makes a good point there. I think part of the issue too is that the NBA needs to completely eliminate the center position as a voting standard anyway. I understand they made the rule change that you can have, two centers because you qualify certain ones as forwards and whatnot, but just make it 3 forwards, 2 guards. Don't even add in he got these votes as a center and these votes as a forward. It doesn't make sense if you want truly the 5 best players on that all NBA first team. So of course I agree Joel Embiid should be in that first team. And of the forwards, you have to say Jason Tatum doesn't belong there. Second team, I feel like I agree mostly with. I mean, the only true argument that you might get from me would be DeMar over LeBron, but DeMar played more games and DeMar was essentially more meaningful. And he got his team to the play.
You were doing so well.
Look at the stats. So well. I mean, compare their stats. LeBron has better stats than what DeMar did. That's all. That's all I'm saying.
Did Lamar have more wins?
Yeah, of course. Of course.
I'm just trying to understand. DeMar DeRozan didn't go on a streak of 30-point games. Like,
he carried that team.
And you know what else? I
completely disagree with
LeBron,
you, Control.
LeBron had more points than him, more rebounds than him, more assists than him. That's all I'm saying. If you look at the pure stats of player-to-player comparisons, it's not close.
Did they release honorable mention? Because if they did, I would make a damn argument LeBron shouldn't be on the third team.
I'll make an argument that I can name you 7 players I would put on the third team over Siakam.
Let's do it.
Not
over Siakam?
Oh, yes.
Jimmy Butler should have been in over Siakam.
Jimmy's
I think that's the biggest glaring hole on here. Like, all right, so let me just be clear.
Are we counting Jimmy as a forward? Is that what we're doing?
Yes.
All right.
All right.
That's what he is.
I guess he plays more like a guard, but I get it. Go ahead.
I can't. There's a lot of things I find wrong with this list, and I wanted to get into them one by one. First thing, Joel Embiid has to be on the NBA All First Team. He should have been the MVP. I will die on that hill that Joel Embiid is a much more valuable player than Jokic. Much more valuable. Let me just say that.
So are you saying, with that said, though, are you saying if the roles were reversed, you're saying Joel would have gotten that Nuggets into the playoffs too, correct?
Yes.
Like as is with no Murray, no MVP, all that. Okay, I just wanted to.
My only problem with that argument, you're making the same argument for both people. Like, you literally can make the same argument for both players. And if you really, really wanted to get technical with it, Joker played with less than JoJo did. That's my only gripe with that argument. Maxey is better than anybody that Joker played with all year.
By the way, just to put it out there, you're right. Just to put it out there, though, I'm looking at the points per game. Did LeBron not qualify?
Oh, How do you not qualify?
I don't know. I'm just
averaged-
looking at. Hold on. Let me see where he's at.
He averaged 30.3, if that's what you're trying to
But
find.
did he not qualify?
You didn't qualify then.
Regular season.
Didn't play enough games.
So DeMar DeRozan had 28 points a game, and he's listed as 5th. So I guess LeBron didn't qualify.
How many games do you have to need to qualify?
I don't know. I just know that I would have Jaylen Brown on this list. Well, I couldn't have him because I'd want him as a forward. But there's Pascal Siakam cannot be on this list. He can't. He can't be on that list. That's absurd to me. Is that absurd to you? Am I the only one who thinks that?
It is. I said
Okay.
I'd have Jimmy over him. I probably would have put BI over him, to be honest.
I might have put.
BI had an incredible second half of the season.
I might have put Domantas Sabonis over him. Just like, I can't. I think that the Joel Embiid disrespect is the biggest defect on this list, though. Joel Embiid was the best player in the league this year, and I think that if he was on that Nuggets team, they would have 100% made the playoffs. Like, I can't believe you'd make the argument they wouldn't. You'd make the argument they wouldn't make the playoffs. No, but you asked me the question, which means it's a thought process. They were a 6 seed, right? They'd be a 4 seed with Joel. That whole team.
That one.
I'm telling you.
Joel doesn't make his teammates better as much as Nikola does.
Joel puts the ball in the basket more and stops the ball from going in the basket more. Does that make sense?
No, that's fine. But I did that, and I've said that literally on the show before. You're comparing a better scorer versus a better all-around player. It's whatever you choose, like whatever you think.
I think
more
Joel's
important.
both.
I disagree.
I think he's a better defender.
What?
I think he's a better
He's a
offensive
better
player.
all-around player than.
Yes.
I
What
don't
does
know about
Jokic
that.
do better than Joel? Pass the ball. That's it.
Here,
That's it.
And he scores. Just that he shoots better.
No, he doesn't.
Yes, he does.
No, he doesn't.
Yes, he does. Come on.
JoJo scores over 30% of his points from the line.
Hold on. I got it right here.
What?
Joel Embiid shoots 3-pointers better, shoots free throws better. Yes, Jokic has a higher field goal percentage from inside the arc, but I think that Joel Embiid has less turnovers. He's a better defender, and yes, we're going to argue the rebound stat and the fact that Jokic had more rebounds than Embiid, when knowing that Denver's entire
Why do we have to do caveats around rebounds? Like that. I don't think that's a good idea.
Because Joel Embiid is a better rebounder of the basketball than Jokic is. His entire career. This year, with Porter Jr. out for half the year, they ran the offense to where, like, if there's an uncontested rebound, they wanted him passing the ball up the court. Like, his entire career, Joel has been a better rebounder than Jokic. This year, Jokic has more rebounds per game because of the way that they run their offense. Like,
but if you look at past years, though, you wouldn't even see Joel in the league leaders for rebounds because guess what? Didn't have enough games to qualify. So if you're going to use that argument against LeBron, you got to use it against your boy Joel too.
It's not an argument to use against or for. Joel Embiid is a better defender than Jokic. He's a better scorer of the basketball than Jokic. And I
disagree there.
You don't think he's a better scorer of the basketball? You disagree there?
Joel Embiid,
are you serious?
He gets to the free throw line 12 times a game. I don't want to say he's a better scorer than what Jokic is. Of course it is.
Hold on.
It is.
You're gonna die on the hill that Joker is a better scorer than Embiid. That's literally your argument to make.
I'm not saying it's for sure, but it's not as clear cut as you're trying to make it seem when he goes to the free throw line way more than what Joker does. It is as clear
as the sky is blue.
Cloudy.
It's not cloudy at all.
Cloudy right now.
Joker is a guy. He shoots damn near 60% from the field. Like, I don't want to say he's a better scorer than what
they play different types of games, and I think that's what the annoying thing is for me. Again, nobody's going to be pissed if Joe won MVP. I just don't think you can be equally as pissed if Joker's winning it. You're comparing two different types of player. JoJo, again, is a better individual player. Joker does other things that JoJo doesn't. JoJo drives more than Joker does. He gets to the free throw line more. So, no, I'm not going to discredit that. That's part of his game that Joker doesn't have. Joker also shoots better. So Joker can play. Joker doesn't rely on getting fouled. He can operate within an offense better and shoot and score. You shouldn't discredit that. Discrediting a rebound is ridiculous. Like that. That's
I'm not discrediting rebound.
You are. You do it all the time. This is the third time we've had this conversation. You've done it every time. Like you can't discredit the guy for getting rebounds. And part of the reasons they want him to get rebounds is because he throws those full court passes all the time, which JoJo can't do. It's a weapon. So if you're a coach, why wouldn't you want your best player to make plays like that? That's a dumb argument, dude. Like you don't need to make a dumb argument against Joker to make an argument for JoJo. Like the whole thing this year was super close because they both had all-time years across the board, both of them. Any other year,
it's not a dumb argument to say that an offense is ran differently in Denver than it is in Philadelphia
because they play to his strengths.
That's
correct.
I mean, that's
who
true.
was Denver's point guard all year?
Freaking Will Burton.
Will Barton?
Campazzo.
Barton, yeah, exactly.
Campazzo?
Whoever.
So the 76ers had a point guard all year.
Correct. You're making the case for Joker.
The offense that was ran in Philadelphia is different than the offense so the same reason.
But that does right.
Hold on,
but that doesn't make JoJo a better player.
Can I finish my point?
You're go ahead. I'll counter as soon as you're done. You're making my point.
The same reason that Jokic throws those home run passes is the same reason he has more turnovers per game, because they're literally using high percentage plays to try to get buckets because their team can't score. There's nobody you can give the ball to on Denver and be like, he's a bucket. Nobody.
You do realize that's why everybody voted for him this year.
And it's a joke. That's why it happened.
It's not.
Bro, like if I'm playing,
So you would think with
whose team? If you take Joker away from Denver and JoJo away from Philly, who's the better team?
Philly.
Correct. So who at that point then would be more valuable to their team?
Joel.
Okay. That's literally you're literally contradicting yourself.
No, I'm not.
Okay.
I promise you I'm not.
You are, but that's fine. You're literally saying who's the more value. You're saying if you take this great player away from this team, that team would still be better than if you took this great player away from this team. So who is then more valuable to their team?
So making the playoffs as a 6 seed in a front-loaded Western Conference when the East is a lot better this year, and the Western Conference ass end of our conference has been terrible. Look, what were it? The Lakers like 12 games below 500, almost making the playoffs.
To make it clear though, if the Nuggets were in the East, they would have been the 5th seed. So whatever argument you're trying to make,
they
the
were
East it
separated by
wasn't
what,
that
2
much
games?
better. 3 games. 3 games.
So they won 3 more games.
Okay,
And
the East
and
is
you
better.
had James Harden and Maxey and Toby all year. What is Denver's record if Porter and Murray are there all year?
They'd be a 3 seed.
Correct. They'd have a better record than Philly. Correct. So at that point,
you can't play those what ifs if James Harden played for all year or Ben Simmons.
You can when people don't play.
Ben Simmons didn't play. Ben Simmons
Right,
plays all
but
year.
you still had
Sixers are
Maxey.
the 1
Maxey was better than anybody that played for Denver all year, not named Jokic.
Yeah.
So if Simmons plays, then Maxey plays.
The 1 seed. They weren't the 1 seed last year with them.
They were the 1 seed last year. They were the 1 seed last
They
year.
weren't. They didn't play like a 1 seed in the playoffs.
They were the 1 seed. No, we're not talking about play. It's a regular season award show. Listen, because you make a mistake.
And guess what?
Because you make a mistake and forget they were the 1 seed doesn't mean Joel didn't win
Joel
MVP.
didn't win last year either. He didn't, exactly. So them being the 1 seed doesn't change anything.
And I hate that the NBA got away from wins mattering.
You're still only
So it's an individual.
you're still only
player
separated.
award. Wins
Yeah, you're
shouldn't
only even if you go on that route, you're only separated by 3 wins. It's not like the Sixers won 60 games and Denver won 42, and we're like
Follow
the 8th
that.
seed. So I mean, you again. I like this whole thing. Like I get both sides of it. That's my whole point. But like you're literally splitting hairs across the board.
Correct,
in
which
almost
is why Joel
every
should be on the first team.
Oh well, nobody's arguing that. I said that as soon as it came out. I'm talking about the MVP thing. He should absolutely be first team. The fact that Tatum made it over him is an absolute joke. And again, that's no slight to him. Like I hate Boston, but I like Jason Tatum. I think
If Joel finished second in MVP voting, you could also argue Giannis shouldn't have made it over him.
correct. And those
First
2
team.
guys are sitting on the first team. So how's the guy that led the league in scoring and second in MVP voting by a couple votes not on the first team?
I completely agree with you. I'm just making my point that Joel Embiid is a much better player than Jokic.
See,
Much better player.
And I add
much
so
better
misleading.
is
It's so
it's just
misleading.
Let me ask you a question real quick. If you put Jokic on the 76ers, how many games do they win? More games or less? You know
Probably
the
the
answer.
same.
No. Stop.
All the same. They win less games with Joker. What?
Wait,
you know
way
how many
less.
open looks Danny Green gives though. He's
Way
giving
less.
Danny Green.
Why would they lose way
Matisse
less?
and-
Because the 76ers have a team that's passive that plays through Joel to score. They don't have guys that can create buckets. Like Tyrese Maxey's the only guy on the team that creates a bucket right now. James Harden's not James Harden in Houston.
Yeah, because
Right,
Will Barton is creating all the buckets with the Nuggets. Like
Joker creates buckets
They
for
won
them.
48 games.
That's one
My
of the reasons he is what he is.
My point being is Joel's going to drop 35, 40 a night on Denver because they're going to run the entire offense through him.
you act like Joker can't score. He averaged 27 points a game. Like what? He can
Joel-
score
Joel-
40
Joel
points
scored more.
a night.
On
He's
a
had
team that
3
has more
points
scorers.
Absolutely.
3
You're-
points
you're
more a
absolutely right
game.
about that.
Don't say 3 points more like it's like some nominal margin.
3 points more a game still isn't crazy like how you're trying to make it out to be. 27 points a game is
it's
still
something.
a very. If you say
All right,
it's literally
well,
one
that's
bucket.
fine.
I mean, that's why
It's-
you look at like per, like you put everything all together, and that's why he like
Three-
yeah he might score 3 less points, but he creates more buckets for his team, and his team's more efficient. That's why his per's higher than JoJo.
3 points more per game is the difference between Luka Doncic and Donovan Mitchell. Just to be clear, it's also the
Okay.
difference between Pascal
What's your
Siakam and
point?
Steph Curry. 3 points a game's a lot for a whole year. It's a
How
difference.
many
between
points does
hot-
Steph average right now?
tw-
How many does Steph average?
this year? 26, 25.5,
So,
and
so-
Pascal Siakam averaged 22. So the 3 point
25
difference,
and 22 is that different? When you say the names, it's different. Yeah, of course.
I'm just
25
saying,
and 22 is that different?
It is. It is. When you're going for points per game, yes, it is. Because over the course of 82 games, it's another 240 points, bro.
So then you would say the same
So
for
it's-
assists and rebounds.
Is 3
Then.
rebounds more? A lot more?
So
4 assists. So
Okay.
how many more buckets created and points scored for Denver did he create than JoJo over the course
how
of the
many
year?
buckets?
A lot.
How many buckets did Joel affect by being in the lane? There's a stat for that. I've read it on the air.
Yeah, so we can get to that next.
Shots adjusted and defense is 50% of the game of basketball. You play
It is,
offense and
you
then you
act
play
like
defense.
Joker can play defense.
Joker
he
is
had
a
1.5
bad
steals and he had a block.
defender. A bad
Hey,
defender,
Got more steals than your boy.
bro. Do you know who led the league in steals for like 5 straight years? Allen Iverson.
Nope.
You know why he led the league in steals? Because he jumped lanes and didn't play defense. Just to be clear, using steals as a comparison, the worst defenders in basketball are normally high in steals because they jump lanes. They
Chris
don't play
Paul's normally
defense.
high in steals, and he's a great defender. So
That's fair, but there's still point. Allen
Jimmy
Iverson
Butler
led
is
the
a
league
great
in steals.
defender, and he gets a lot
Led
of
the league in
assists, too.
steals for 5 years in a row, and he was one of the worst defenders in basketball. I know that 01 76ers wasn't like your forte, but we watched him how bad he played. He was a liability defensively.
So but you're bringing up the again. So then you're saying Jimmy Butler's a bad defender, Chris Paul's a bad defender.
No, I'm saying
All right,
that
so you're using
steal.
You're
no,
using
I'm
the one
saying
exception.
Using steal. That's not the one exception.
Who are the other ones?
Luka Doncic, terrible defender.
What's he? He's not. What is he in steals?
I got you right here.
Okay.
1.2, which is less than Joker.
Joker's what? Joel's 1.1. He has more steals than Joel. He's a better defender, right? Giannis is 1.1. He's got more steals.
No, see the difference
But
is we
we also
you're-
include blocks. I'm not saying he's a
We're-
better defender than Joker.
nobody said he was a better. You're saying he's terrible, and that's just not accurate.
I-
Nobody said he was better than JoJo. You said he was terrible. That's where this part of the argument came from.
He's a terrible defender.
Okay, that's just not accurate.
It is accurate.
It's not
Okay.
Why is
so-
it accurate?
Because
because Gene wants JoJo to win the MVP.
no, because Jokic, people score on Jokic. The opponent's field goal percentage versus Jokic is 60%. Versus Joel, it's 38. That's why it's accurate. That's why.
If you go into the other metrics,
Is that
who covers people away from the basketball more? Because it's a landslide the other way.
You're right.
Yes,
Jokic definitely
right,
covers people
so
away
Joker-
from the basket.
Joker covers people where they take jump shots.
But-
JoJo covers people within 4 feet of the basket. So,
So-
no shit.
so-
if you go for a layup against a 7'2" guy with a 9-foot wingspan, yeah.
So
he's gonna
you're
adjust
saying
your
it's
shots.
easier to make a jump
No,
shot than a layup.
What I'm saying is You could take any stat in the world and you can cut into it. You used it to frame your argument that he adjusts shots better. Yeah, he's going to adjust shots better to the rim because he plays around the rim more than Joker does. What's JoJo's covers percentage to 3-point line? I guarantee you it's dog shit. That's all I'm saying.
So that's one thing I will give Doc Rivers credit for, even though he's a terrible coach.
He's terrible.
He had a very great strategy to make sure Joel Embiid did not have to guard the 3-point line much this year.
Yeah, because he's not good.
Every single time a team had a shooter that was not a player on the court that wasn't a shooter, that's who Joel was sticking. Whether it was the 3, 4, or 5, it didn't matter. Joel was sticking him. I remember when they were playing Minnesota and he was sticking Jarrett Vanderbilt instead of Karl Anthony Towns.
Yes.
And that's also part of it too. So of course you're going to have great defensive stats when you don't got to guard Cat all night. You get to go up against damn Vanderbilt. Like
again,
you should shut him down. He should score 2 points on you.
I wish.
Kevin Mooney agrees with me. 25 versus 22 points, a huge difference. It's the difference between Grant Hill and Allen Houston. Thank you, Kevin Mooney. About time you said something smart.
Is Grant Hill in the Hall of Fame?
I don't know. Should be. Short career due to injury, though. He was dominant. But we got to move on. We're at 9:20. We've talked about the NBA, which I love, the NBA, but we got to talk about a couple more things.
2018, he was inducted. Yeah, he's in.
I want to get in the NIL.
This runaway train that has no end in sight that's just going to crash into a mountain. Sure, let's talk about it.
No, it has an end in sight. I already know how it's going to. I know it's going to take.
All right, so Bill, do me a favor. Start the point, and then Cottrell, give your counterpoint to that.
I mean, it's not a counterpoint. I mean, I think we're all on the same side of this.
We are.
I mean, they were. It's like anything else in life. They were so excited to get it started that they didn't have anything in place to monitor it. You know, the NCAA was against it, and it went from them being against it to it being deemed illegal to not allow the kids to do it. And then this all happened within one off season. And now you have kids signing deals left and right. You know, I mean, I can't remember who it was. Somebody has like a freaking Lamborghini deal now, which ironically I said 6 months ago was going to happen. And mark my words, like some kid's going to get in an accident. I promise you. I think we all agreed at some point it wasn't fair for these kids not to either have more money when they were on campus or not get compensated in some form, you know, for all the money that the colleges and universities were making off them. But again, just like in politics or anything else, we went from one side and we had to go polar opposite to the other side. And now that's where we are. Like, you're having kids realistically being paid to go to school now. Like being paid to sign a scholarship and go to college. That's not what this was designed to do. This was designed to, once you're on campus, you sign, you go where you want to play, and you know when they're selling your jerseys and they're using your face on advertising for season tickets and all that crap, that the kids get paid for it, as they should. Like that is your face, that's your likeness. Like a professional player, like you can't put, you know, a player on something and use it for your company for advertising without compensating that player and having a contract. I agree with that. The kids should get all that. We've gone the polar opposite. I mean, we're going to get into Jordan Addison in a second. I mean, whatever rumor you want to believe, 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, I don't know. They pretty much, you know, USC pretty much backed up a Brinks truck to his house, said, we're going to empty this truck, transfer out of Pittsburgh, and go to USC. He can hide behind.
Wasn't even in the portal.
It wasn't even in the portal.
They literally, that's like illegal tampering.
It's tampering. It has to stop. You know, I know Cottrell's going to get into it, so I'm not going to take his thunder because I know where he's going with that part of it. They have to get control of it quickly,
Cottrell, I have 2 solutions. Let's see if you hit one of them. And before you go, after you go, I'm gonna give my solutions that the college football could do to fix the whole thing. But Cottrell.
I don't necessarily have the solution to fix it. I just think that I know it will get fixed when this happens. You're gonna have one of these big time schools. They're gonna get screwed, and it's not gonna just be out of one prospect. Like we already see, and we're gonna get into it, you know, as the show goes on with Saban and Jimbo and Deion and all those guys. But once these smaller schools start getting they're getting these huge NIL deals, and there is more. Honestly, there's going to be more disparity in college football once certain schools realize that, hey, we're not going to just keep shelling out all this money to these guys. Like, it's just not going to happen. And you're going to have these other programs who come literally out of nowhere, and they're going to all of a sudden be good because their school is willing to fund all this money, and their boosters are willing to fund, all these prospects. So that's what it's going to take. And at some point, the coaches, whether it be guys like Dabo and Saban and, these other big name coaches that are showing to be either fake. Well, Dabo's completely against it. Saban's just kind of fake against it because the SEC guys kind of caught up to him. But it's going to take those big name coaches to
I didn't
really
hear one
push
thing
against this NIL deal.
I didn't hear one thing coming out of Nick Saban's mouth when Bryce Young got $1 million before
$1 million. Yep.
Before playing a
Yep.
snap. Do you have a solution? You said you had a solution to fix it.
No, I don't have the solution. I think that's what's going to trigger them making an actual fix to it. These coaches you're going to start seeing some huge coaches either move on or they're just going to somehow boycott it. Like, I think it's going to take a group of coaches to literally just sit together and say, hey, we got to get this fixed, and we're fixing it now.
So I have a couple solutions. I've thought about this long and hard, and I'm prepared to be argued with. It's fine. So Bill's right. 100% this was meant for people not to get in trouble for selling their own memorabilia, their own stuff, making money off their name, essentially, like someone has them sign an autograph and they're getting suspended for 4 games. I feel like if this NIL deal was around a while ago, Maurice Clarett might have been a good NFL player. I feel like there's a lot of things that hurt a lot of players coming up in the system. With that being said, Bill was 100% right. It was like they opened the floodgates and it was just like they couldn't control the water. They had no control. Like they were trying to let a little water in and then just boom, it all hit. Here's your solutions, right? If I work at a cafeteria at a college campus, do I get paid? Answer yes. Answer yes. You have a job on campus, you make money. Pay all the kids $75,000. Pay them all $50,000 a year to play football. This way they can't complain that they don't have money to get food or to, see, you can't sway it back to the other way where it's nothing, right? But you can't allow boosters and all these people to get involved and these kids to get paid. Give them a set amount for every single player. D1 players get 75. D2 players get 50.
The original plan that they wanted to do was something like that. Here's the problem. These athletes, especially like during the season, they don't have time to work. So that's not an option. So originally what they wanted to do was to kind of like what you were saying is, if you were, this level guy, instead of being stuck on like your meal plan and stuff like that, like you're talking about, which they are, all athletes are. Instead of being stuck on that, they were getting, $1,000 a week for the year, extra on top of everything else.
Which is $52,000.
Stipend.
Yeah, correct. Which is fine. And then I'll take Michigan, for instance, just because I'm familiar with it and I can name it. I'm sure Kachuk will do for Ohio State. The M-Den is like their huge like college bookstore where they sell all the Nike stuff, all the Jordan stuff. So if J.J. McCarthy's jersey's sitting in there, they sell it, number 9, whatever, he gets a certain percentage of all of it. That's originally the spirit of what this was, and which was fine. NCAA, in all their infinite wisdom, that's sarcasm,
we had no idea.
Had no idea and didn't want to do it. No shit. Shocker. Wrong side of something. But that's where we ultimately wanted to go.
Yeah, no.
And then even like the kids even the kids that were walk-ons and everything like that, they were starting to get money too. They just weren't going to get the same level as a J.J. McCarthy or a C.J. Stroud.
I'm using the 50,000 and 75,000 as like a barometer. Like obviously,
but that's literally the numbers that were floated. Like that's what they wanted to do. And then the kids that were, again, the kids that were more high profile. Again, you can't sit there and sell 10,000 C.J. Stroud jerseys every year and not give the kid a penny, which is what the old system is.
Maybe you give him 75,000 and you give him whatever, $10 a jersey.
But what my point is, when this originally went to court, that is what the spirit of this law and what they wanted to write, that was the spirit of it. They didn't want what's happening right now. Like, that was never the thing. The problem was they wrote the law, it got passed, NCAA had to abide by it because it went, the Supreme Court. And then, of course, like anything else that happens in life, loopholes. Everybody's like, well, it doesn't say you can't do this. It doesn't say I can't, offer Bubba Daniels $1 million to go to Texas to play tackle. Doesn't say I can't do that. Doesn't say I can't give him $100,000 car off my lot. And now we're here.
So what you have to say?
I was going to say real quick. I was going to say that the issue with like what both of you guys have said though is that these schools aren't willing to shell out that money. And that's why, like, these schools aren't the ones paying for the NIL deals. And I feel like that's a big reason why we aren't seeing, like, these players just getting compensated like that, where you're getting $50,000 a year and things like that. These players are essentially going out on their own. And granted, the boosters are coming in. They're telling them, hey, this guy's offering you this guy's offering you that, blah, blah, blah. But these players are essentially going out on their own, and these schools have nothing to do with it. So I think that's a big part of the issue. No. That's why the quotes were around it. The quotes were around it.
What is like one of the words you never ever want to, like, you in the old days you never wanted to like see come up on your radar when you were recruiting? Booster. Like, you never ever wanted to see, like, if you got accused of recruiting infractions or anything like that, booster was the last word you wanted to see in like a charge. Yeah. And again, like, that's the problem now. You're having I don't know what Ohio State's doing, but like, for instance, like Michigan, they now have partners that they're setting up with their athletes, but they're in the deal. So like they're familiar with it, they're in the middle of it. Not that they control it, but they know what's going on within it. So like, again, you don't have a kid like running around a Lambo. But however, you have the Texas situation. You have that guy that owns like 15 car dealerships outside of Austin. Dude's like a gazillionaire. He's a Texas alum. Those five offensive linemen, like, all the money that's going to them is all paid through him. He's a freaking booster. They're just hiding it, saying, "Oh, you're signing with my dealerships." But that wasn't how it was originally, proposed. It was, "Hey, if you come here, I'll give you this." Shocker! All 5 kids signed.
That's my issue right now with how Quinn Ewers treated Ohio State, because he got the money for coming there. He got the trucks, and Ohio State, I will give them credit. They were smart about it. They signed him. The deals that he signed, they signed them. They said, "Hey, if you leave, we're getting all this back. These contracts are, everything's done." So they knew up front, like, this kid's probably going to jump ship.
You literally just led me into my second fix. You can't have free agency. You have to have the 1-year sit rule back. These kids aren't going to sit a year. You cannot allow the transfer portal has to be a 1-year sit again.
You can't now. The only way you can leave now is
they changed it for COVID.
Well, originally it was changed for COVID, correct? And now it's stuck.
And you say 2024? Why?
No, well, then you're never gonna get rid of this, because if you go somewhere and say like Bryce Young says he's coming back for his senior year, and then out of nowhere he says he's not, you can't have Alabama calling, Ohio State and be like, "Hey, CJ, we'll throw you $3 million if you come play for a year." Obviously, I'm just using two big names, but like, that's what you can do now. I said from the get-go, if your coach leaves to take another job or whatever, I think you should be able to transfer without penalty. If we're going to let you can't let kids start.
You can't change circumstances.
The Addison thing can't happen.
No, hold on. Before we get to Addison, we're going to get right to it. Cottrell, give your counterpoint, and then I have a response to him.
I'll say this. You have situations like Jordan Addison, but you also have situations last year like Jamison Williams. Jamison Williams did his time at Ohio State. He was there for 2 seasons already. He had grinded it out. It didn't work out for him. He didn't go to a lesser program to try and get playing time. He went to the biggest, powerhouse in college football and said, "I'm going to work my way there." And he turned out to be this superstar that, a lot of people thought he could be, but he just couldn't see the field at Ohio State. I don't want to penalize guys like that. So if there's some sort of stipulation or something in there, like, hey, if you do your 2 years here, you're trying to play and it's just, strictly a playing time thing for you, I don't want to get these guys to sit a year for things like that. Like, I don't want to see a guy like Jameson Williams not play because of NIL restrictions. He didn't go to Bama for the money. He went to play and to go try to win a national championship.
I follow what you're saying, Kittrell, but the point is, yes, for every Jameson Williams, there's 55 kids that are transferring schools because they're being paid for NIL.
I get it.
So
I get it.
Listen, you have to have it one way or the other. If you have the 1 year sit rule, you basically stop college football free agency. Now, if they get their NIL deal from high school, it's not going to be huge. Like, yeah, you're going to have your Bryce Youngs coming along where you're going to get those guys making $1 million. But after that, you're not recruiting kids across different schools. The problem with college football is you cannot have a free agency. And that's what they have now.
I agree with
They
you.
have free agency.
I will say the one thing that I somewhat disagree with. So with the situation with Jordan Addison, if you're Jordan Addison right now, and this is just a counter argument,
can I read the comments before we get to Jordan Addison?
Absolutely.
Just a couple people comments. I just want to read real quick. Jeff Perone says, quote unquote, "You bench me for bad grades and I'm going to transfer out to a school with lower standards that will pay me more money."
Facts.
If Paul Gravitt, if Bama, Texas, USC, Ohio State, or Oregon are allowed to just let money flow free, then it's a wrap. It's supposed to be up to the player to get his own NIL deal, not the school. That's the challenge now.
Correct.
Now, we're going to get right into Jordan Addison.
Well, no, before that, though, like Jameis's situation, for instance, he could have easily transferred, sat a year, would have had 1 year eligibility, and he probably would have got a waiver because he got hurt. So that, and if it's not COVID, he would have had to sit a year. He's a different situation,
correct,
because of everything that was going on. If it was non-COVID, he would have had to sit. But 4 years ago, you also didn't have NIL. So I mean, they're going to have to take a stand one way or the other. And most coaches will tell you they're more upset, and you hear it a lot now. They're more upset about having to deal with the portal than they are with NIL, because a lot of schools either A, won't do it, or schools run it. To Paul's point, which is exactly true, what's going to happen. You start going into these schools like a Penn State, an Ohio State, a Michigan, Notre Dame, USC, Texas A&M, which you're already seeing it with all the hugely rich alumni that come from those schools that have money. If those schools actually open up the doors and say, you know what, you guys pay, you this is who we want, you go pay them whatever it takes to get them here, there's going to be a lot of schools that don't have a shot. And I'm talking major schools, like, don't have a shot. Those schools just have too much money and too much, rich alumni. I mean, you're talking about schools that have presidents, astronaut, like, just people of massive amounts of money. USC, you have all the actors and everybody that, those people all contribute to the program. You start emptying those bank accounts on kids. There's nobody in the world. Do you really want Phil Knight going on recruiting trips with people from Oregon? With Nike money, like you don't shot. Like, it's.
But I mean, Oregon can essentially do that now, though. Like, Phil Knight could easily get whoever he wants a Nike deal like that, and it would look legit.
He can and he can't. Yeah, but Phil Knight also, like, you can't end up paying some college kid $10 million because you want him because he's a 5-star recruit, and then turn around being like, and Jimmy Butler being like, "Oh, you're paying this kid like more than me? Like, I'm out of here." Like, Phil Knight can't do that. Like, it'll hurt Phil. Like, he can give Oregon all the money in the world that he wants, but, like, in the long run, that would hurt his business model.
Phil is not hurting for any money.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying Phil Knight's going to run out of money. What I'm telling you is,
he makes a good point, though.
If you start throwing money like that at college kids, what do you think the professionals are going to want to make then?
He gave LeBron $1 billion lifetime
That's LeBron,
deal.
bro. That's LeBron. You're telling me if Jimmy Butler's got a $5 million a year deal, and then he goes to offer some 5-star recruit kid over and over and over who's never played anything, and you're paying him $6 million, you don't think Jimmy Butler's coming back and be like, "Yo, I want more fucking money, dude"? Like, you're playing. You're giving me. Of
course, but the thing is, though,
so over the long
Phil
run,
Knight's not giving out those contracts. Plus, Phil Knight doesn't have that many, like, the athletes that Phil Knight has at Nike. You have Kyrie, you got Paul George. Like, it's not like he's getting a whole bunch of just
you're
like
wrong
stars.
there.
He's getting top
You're-
15 guys.
You're talking people who have like their own signature shoe. Look up how many athletes that are
Of
signed
course,
to
yeah, you
Nike.
get other athletes.
Dude,
that are
it's a
signed there,
mile
yeah.
long, bro. They
course.
pay a ton of people. So don't say that then.
I love these conversations.
They pay a
I'm
ton of
saying-
people. I'm not saying everybody gets LeBron money. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is he is fundamentally then changing his business model if he gets involved to that aspect. Because you're not going to be able to sign
agree.
pros. You're not going to be able to sign pros for $5 million a year and get them to wear and endorse all their
It's funny.
crap.
Paul makes a great point. He goes, Michael Jordan decides he wants to see the Tar Heels in the college football playoff.
Correct.
It would be the greatest recruiting class of all time.
Yeah. What's he going to tell him? No. You going to tell him no?
Jordan
He
deals.
makes $5 billion a year off Jordan Brand. You gonna tell him no? That's what I mean. You can't. That's where we're going. People think it's crazy. If they don't get a hold of it in 3 years, like you will see North Carolina or something like that win a college football championship because they'll just go out and buy a team.
Yeah.
And you can do it.
So let's get into Jordan Addison.
I was going to say the point that I was going to get into with Addison is I think the one issue that you run into if guys like that can transfer and then sit a year, you would almost utilize that transfer year as like a year off, like how players took off for COVID. Like Jordan Addison could easily just say, "Oh, I'm transferring to UFC," and if he has to sit a year, the year after that, I'd be like, you know what? I'm actually going to the NFL draft. And like that, there wouldn't be anything stopping him from doing that. So
Okay. Do you
No,
think NFL players? Do you
no.
think the NFL teams want teams to sit for?
But I will.
Jamar Chase sat a year, they picked him 5. Panay Sewell sat a year, they picked him 7. Like you know,
My point
teams
is,
don't. If you're that talented, teams will pick you.
You're talking about the elite of the elite, the top 5, 6.
Jordan
athletes.
Addison is that.
I don't disagree with that. But again, you still make them sit. Because if
I
you do that, then
agree.
you go, do you want to sit here for a year or do you just want to go pro? Also, if they go pro, they're probably going to pay the money back. So, I mean, again,
Correct.
you're going to sign a contract and you're going to have it all, but would you really want to sign your first NFL contract right off the bat, have to write somebody a $3 million check? They're not going to want to do that.
The only thing I can think of is blue chips when Ricky Rowe wanted to go home.
That's different. I mean,
No,
if
I
you're
know.
dropping
he
out,
got, he got the tractor.
yeah, I mean,
He got the money.
yeah. But
I just
but
feel
you're,
like
you're going to run
it's
into
such
stuff
a
like
good.
that.
but
It
it's-
is.
It's a great.
It is.
I think the NL needs to get obvious control. But let's get into Jordan Addison. Jordan Addison was not in the portal.
Right.
This is a kid.
This
that
is
was,
this is the problem with my NIL deal. Just to make it clear, this is my biggest issue with it.
Well,
What-
the bigger issue with this, too, is they're hiding behind the other crap, which annoys me. because-
Explain it to the listeners.
All right, well, you had his offensive coordinator leave, the guy who recruited him left, and then quarterback
Yep.
left. So that's his.
But that's why earlier when you said when a coach leaves,
coach.
like you can't. No, but you can't listen.
But then
If
he would
you
be
allow
eligible to play.
stipulation. If you
No,
allow
I'm, talking about,
stipulation,
I'm saying head coach.
that's it. Just one thing.
I said that from the get-go. Dude, like you can't
Mm-hmm.
expect to come in on cycle with your quarterback and everything else every time. So like if you're like a mid-tier receiver and then you have a breakout year and then Bryce Young decides to leave early for the NFL, which he's going to do. Bryce Young's not going to graduate from Alabama this year. So now you get to transfer for free because your quarterback left. Like, come on, man. That's part of college.
My point being is I think they should have to sit regardless.
I'm saying head coach. If you get recruited and you go there to play for a certain person, you're head coach, and then that person leaves for the NFL or
I don't hate your stipulation.
a Brian Kelly situation when he goes to LSU. I believe those kids get one free pass. You should be able to transfer and go wherever you want to play and play right away. If not, other than that, or you've already graduated and you get your 5th year, you can transfer and play right away. I'm fine with that rule. I like that rule, actually. It keeps kids that are borderline NFL,
let's give them a chance.
prospects, gives them another year in college. It allows them to go. They have to stay in school.
So if they already graduate, they get and they have their 5th year of eligibility.
Correct. I love that
Or
rule.
head coach.
Or head coach. Other than that,
Cottrell?
you're sitting.
I got a question for you.
I love it. I'm ready.
What if you can have a player decides, I want to transfer, I don't want to sit a year. Could there be a stipulation where you say, I will sign this waiver that I won't sign any NIL deals if you allow me to play this upcoming season?
No, because there's too many ways around it.
No.
They'll be like, hey, like when you graduate, you do this. when you graduate, wink, wink, we'll throw you like a $2 million check. So no.
I agree. I agree with Charlie.
Well, I mean, that's still an NIL deal. Like,
But
you're
not. Bro, you're gonna track all these kids' bank accounts and like watch when like money from like some slush offshore fund gets deposited after they get drafted. Like, come on, dude. Like that's what we're gonna do. They're not gonna hold a press conference and be like, "Oh, Cottrell Simpson graduated. Thanks for coming to the University of Georgia. Here's your NIL money now." Like that's not what's gonna happen. Like, no. Answer's no.
Yeah. So, but the problem with Jordan Addison is he was not in the transfer portal, and that drives me nuts that you can allow a major school like USC to literally recruit him. It was like they went on a recruiting tour, like, oh, let's see what type of goodies I can get. I'll take Oklahoma's quarterback. I'll take Pittsburgh's wide receiver.
At least Oklahoma's quarterback made sense. It almost seemed like Jordan,
again, and he left Oklahoma.
It almost seemed like Jordan Addison, like he had someone from USC whisper to him, like, "Hey, if you sign this deal, I hear they're going to throw you $3 million."
They used a fucking megaphone, bro. They didn't whistle.
That
was a whisper.
That was the worst part of it to me.
They had a press conference.
Like they weren't even mad. Like the audacity and like how like blatant they were about. Like because they were like, we're not going to get in trouble. They were like, NCAA doesn't know what the hell they're doing. They don't have a president.
There's no whisper.
Like it was.
You knew about that before you even entered the portal.
Yeah, it broke on ESPN.
Talked about it.
It broke on ESPN. They were like, yeah, Jordan Addison had like offered $3 million, and he was in the portal. And then he laid low for like a week, and he was like, oh, Addison's in the portal. Yeah, no shit. And they're like, oh, like we won't make the announcement right away. And they did the same thing. They waited another week, and they're like, oh, Addison made his decision. They're like, oh, he's going to USC. And everybody's like, oh my god, like yeah, I told you just 2 weeks ago.
No idea this was happening.
You know what this does, though, Gene?
Tell me.
This strengthens our way too early preseason prediction of USC making the playoff.
Anything USC wins this way is asterisk at this point. They're gonna be right back on. They're gonna be right back on probation like they were when Pete Carroll left.
Reggie Bush.
Yep. Right back on the list.
Do you think go
another 20-year slump?
Is the NCAA already doing that? Are they trying?
They can now. It's not technically illegal yet.
So then why would they be on probation?
You can't backtrack it.
I told you my way too early prediction. I had USC in the playoff.
Yeah,
because Lincoln Riley.
Because you knew Addison. Because you knew Addison was going there. Exactly.
I have faith in Lincoln Riley.
I knew Caleb Williams. I feel like I knew.
We all knew Caleb Williams was going. That's fine. I gave you that. The rest of this garbage is BS.
Agreed.
I think that you'll see USC and Texas in a national championship game within the next 5 years.
I disagree. I think too much talent has already been shown that they'll go to A&M in state. I don't think in Texas they're not back.
I think Texas is back. I think Quinn Ewers is going to bring them back. I think if Arch Manning goes there, they'll definitely be back. I think you'll see Texas versus USC.
Yeah. Then where does Ewers go? He's going back to Ohio State.
Go to the NFL draft.
He'll go back to Ohio State.
Let's go to draft.
I'm like, hey guys, I'm back. Sorry I left for a year.
I just
CJ will be leaving. They'll take him out with open arms.
Jeff, who's a Pitt alum, in the last 3 weeks of college touring was a horse and pony show.
Jeff's heated, dude.
Oh, Jeff's heated. Jeff's like, I'm done with college football.
I can't blame him.
I gave Jordan Addison the same treatment.
If I was a Pitt fan, I'd be
Tennessee. All those guys gave.
Can you imagine being a Pitt fan? Like you made like a New Year's Day Six Bowl. Like everything was going well. It's like that. This is how it ends. No, like it's almost like you're watching like Thanos snap his fingers. Kenny Pickett goes. The offense coordinator goes. Jordan Addison goes. Wait, this is how it ends.
It's gonna win 4 freaking games this year.
And that's my point. They're done.
I got faith in Narduzzi, man. I will say though, the one other thing that has been mentioned that the NIL is also screwing up. I know people that coach like Division I programs, Division II programs, and they said that their focus has been shifted so much more to the portal as opposed to these kids right out of high school. So if you're not these, elite level talent guys out of high school, you're not getting the same shine that you were getting 3, 4, 5 years ago. And that's really hurting some of these guys. So you have guys who were typically D2, maybe D1 AA guys who are used to normal years, they get a scholarship. These guys might have to walk on and, earn their keep just because you got so many old guys hitting the portal going everywhere. So,
well, yeah, I mean, because you have a situation last year with like Walker, like that guy. You tell me that, like who screwed that up at Wake Forest? Like you told me that kid couldn't play.
And then they were good.
Yeah, yeah. Which they were what 8-4. I think they make the ACC championship game.
Ended up,
Yeah.
they ended up. I think 9-3 at the end. Like, you might argue like they might have had a New Year's Six bowl if Kenny Walker's playing.
And that's the one thing Dabo talks about all the time. Dabo, he hates the portal. Like that's what he said. He's like it's like we're drafting like year after year. He's like it's not what it's supposed to be.
That's not why college football coaches become college football coaches. They build a program.
Correct.
All right, so
Sweeney doesn't want anyone to get any money, no matter what it is, whether it's making money off their jersey sales or anything. He's just one of those just curmudgeons.
I don't think he's a curmudgeon.
I can't say that. I can say that he can see the loopholes before they happen.
Yeah.
I think he's a forward thinker.
He preaches a certain thing, dude. If you want to go to that program, like his players are required to go to church. Like
I think that's ridiculous.
I'm not saying I agree or disagree.
What
with
happened to
either way.
freedom of religion? This is why we left England.
I mean, amongst other reasons, but yeah. I mean, it wasn't about going. It wasn't about playing football and going to
You
church,
have to go to church to play on my football team. Get the hell out of here.
What I'm saying is they
imagine that bullshit.
They preach different.
If I'd have wanted this, I would have went to Notre Dame.
That's a little different. That's hard. That's like hardcore.
See, they don't go to church.
No, they go to church. I mean, you have to take like Catholic courses in Notre Dame. So imagine like being recruited by Notre Dame and not being Catholic. Have fun with that. It's he firmly believes in that. Like he believes in like building a program and like us versus everybody else. But he also, in his defense, he's super committed to his kids. Like if he recruits you and you come on and you don't pan out or whatever, he treats you just the same. And you've heard players say it. He treats you just the same as you were if you were Deshaun Watson. Like he personally cares about the kids he brings on campus. And I don't care what you say, you can't say that about every other coach at these big programs. You can't.
No. But the last thing we got to get into college-wise is Jimbo Fisher, Prime, Nick Saban.
I mean, the Prime thing. I mean, I get it, but he had a lightning strike when he got that 5-star kid. That is not going to be. I don't think it's going to be a normal thing.
I think it's a really bad look for Nick Saban to be trying to take a shot.
He's hating.
It is, and this is what I'm going to get to.
Look.
I remember when Nick Saban went after Harbaugh 3 years ago when Michigan started hosting their satellite campuses, and this gets back to something you said earlier. He just wants to walk in to any 5-star recruit he wants and expect to get him in the South. That's what he firmly believes. So when Michigan started throwing their, they were doing their satellite camps at IMG, and then all of a sudden all these kids are showing up that Nick Saban had already talked to. Not all of them went to Michigan. A couple of them did. A couple of them reopened. Michigan did one, I think one with Georgia, and then like he lost a couple kids to Georgia. Like he doesn't want change at all, which is hysterical because Nick Saban was notorious for gray shirting, which was like kind of a loophole. It's kind of a scummy thing to do. It was pretty much, hey, we'll offer you, we can't offer you a scholarship, but I'll guarantee you a walk-on spot. You'll be on the team. So he was getting an extra 4, 5, 3, 4-star kids every year that could have got a scholarship to go somewhere else, but they wanted to go to Alabama. Anytime that ever came up, he didn't want to talk about that.
No,
and he got caught doing it.
I just think that like what Deion Sanders is doing for Jackson State is so huge and so good that I just feel like that even if you believe that what he did was wrong, which he didn't, and I don't think there's anything he did wrong, that's not for you. You're Nick Saban. You're the coach. You're one of the greatest coaches in college football history. You are the greatest coach in college football history.
The other thing too is that Travis Hunter was a guy who was originally committed to Florida State. Like he had a relationship with Deion Sanders beforehand. Like they knew each other. So it's not like, Deion just came out of nowhere and threw him a lot of money. I'm not saying the kid didn't sign an NIL deal, but if you're a cornerback, why wouldn't you want to be coached by the best cornerback ever? Or, if you want to make an argument.
Shout out to Barstool for creating an NIL deal with them.
Yeah. Like why wouldn't you want to go do that?
And the thing with him and Jimbo Fisher, you hear Jimbo Fisher talk. Jimbo's like, you guys think he's a god. He's not a good person. Look into his past. He is a terrible human being.
I think that also
I'd
speaks
side
a lot
with Jimbo.
That speaks a
I'm
lot
not
to his
saying
character too, considering that Jimbo and Nick's like history.
Nick is a crybaby. He's a whiner, and when things don't go his way, he runs and hides.
He does.
He did it for Miami. Period.
I don't disagree
Promise
with
all those professional athletes your full commitment and then leave in the middle of an NFL season. Get the hell out of here, bro.
I wouldn't disagree with what Jimbo said about Nick, but plenty of people have said it about Jimbo, and I think it's equally as true about him. I think Jimbo is just as smug and much of a dickhead as Nick.
Who did he learn it from?
Well, no, it's fine. It doesn't excuse it either, though. Like,
True. My thing is with those two, I don't think what Nick said about Jimbo was necessarily wrong. To me, it just came off the wrong way because it's like you're signing kids to NIL deals too. You're just mad that the rest of the
Bryce
people
Young got $1 million before
Exactly.
he threw a football.
Exactly.
I don't want to
But
hear any recruiting issues.
I'm 100% with you.
I
I'm 100%
feel
with you. G.
zero issues that people are competing with Alabama. Nick, what, you want
I have
all the
no
best
issue
players
either.
in the world? Come on, man. They're going to
I
have
have
the
no
top
issue
2
either.
picks next year. Put it down
Don't-
right now.
don't
Alabama
tell me,
has the
though.
top 2 picks next year. The best
Don't tell
2
me
players
A&M
in the
didn't buy
country.
those guys.
They
A&M
did.
100%
But
bought.
bet-
They
but
bought
don't
their
act like
recruiting
Bama
class.
didn't
But I don't
either.
want to hear Saban. I don't want to hear Saban say it. That's
But
all.
don't act like Bama didn't either. We didn't pay our kids.
Oh, yeah,
The
I
NIL
agree.
did. The NIL did,
I
bro.
agree.
Stop acting like you didn't.
I-
You didn't pay the kids. The boosters did. Come
Yeah,
on, man.
doing it.
That's bullshit.
That's what I mean. You've two like guys that live across the street from each other, both yelling, "Get off my grass!" Like,
Correct.
That's really what it is. It is. That's what it is. One just
Yep.
wins. One just wins a lot more than the other one.
I think Jimbo's building a hell of a program, A&M.
He is, but Bama ain't going
No.
nowhere, bro.
No.
They're a 14.5 point
A&M's not
dog
gonna-
already for that game.
A&M, especially this year, I don't see A&M competing. You got to remember, too, all those guys are freshmen, man. You don't come in right away at 18. I don't care if you're
They're the top recruiting
5-star,
class 2 years in a
4-star.
row.
Then those guys are 19 ahead of them. They're not going to come in beating seasoned guys like Bryce Young and Georgia. We talked about all the guys that Georgia had leaving. Georgia's been here before. Georgia always has these top recruits. So Jimbo getting this top recruiting class this season, it's
years in a row.
special and it's going to be important for him moving forward. But
You'll see
I
the
don't think
dividends
they're going to be legit.
really in 2 years, depending on how many stays. He still doesn't have a quarterback. And to your point, Nick Saban arguably has the 2 best players in college football.
2 best.
One on each side.
Yes.
That
I'm telling
and
you right
that
now.
game and that game's in Tuscaloosa this
I'm
year.
telling you right now. That Will Anderson, man.
He's
He's
good.
going
Special.
to be a
I agree.
special player in the NFL.
I agree. Good.
Has to go to the right spot.
I don't think so.
Ooh.
Seen it too many times with that jack position at Alabama. Like it almost screams to me Tim Williams like 8 years ago.
It's
Now,
not.
he's
about,
way better than him. Don't get
Hold
me
on.
wrong.
Hold on.
But like
It's
that
not
position.
Not about the position. It's about the reads and how much he knows the game. You watch the game.
I hear
Every
you.
time Georgia was running a specific play, he was the one that breaking it up. If you want a trick play, he read it before it happened. It was almost like he was in the Georgia huddle. When you have a mind that's next level like that, when you're athletic and that football smart, something special, man. He's going to be.
I
If
agree.
he would have came out this year, he was a top 5 pick. If he was allowed to.
I
come
think
out.
they'll be the top 2 picks next year. I think Bryce
I will
will
tell you this:
say that.
I'm sold
So
way
many
more on
teams
one than
passed
the
on
other.
quarterbacks.
You're
So
so
many
warm
teams
on Will
passed on
Anderson, they
quarterbacks.
got-
I'll take Will Anderson late years before I take Bryce Young.
Bryce Young in the SEC championship game showed you nothing. He was
Show-
the
show
only
me-
quarterback.
in the Rose Bowl showed you nothing.
Show
Like
me, show me
No.
an NFL game where either one of them are going to play a game like that.
I mean, Georgia's whole defense is playing in the NFL. And he shredded them in the SEC.
Correct.
championship.
And every big play that he had, he sat back there for 6 seconds.
Oy. I think Bryce is dominant. But
Dominant. I mean, all right, we're not
I
getting.
mean,
into that.
that's the
I mean,
same. That's
you
the
spent the
same
last
dude
2
who
years
almost lost
trashing
to
every Ohio State,
Arkansas
other than
and
Justin Fields,
LSU.
every Alabama quarterback ever, and now Bryce Young is all of a sudden.
can I tell you where I was sold on him? I'm allowed to change my mind.
Sure, go ahead.
That SEC championship game.
So one game changed your mind?
Always.
No, I always thought he was good, but I didn't see him do it against the
Did you see the LSU game, the Arkansas game, the Auburn game?
I didn't. You asked me a question. Can I answer the question?
Okay.
I always thought he was.
Too.
I always thought he was good. I didn't realize how good he was until I watched his poise, his accuracy, and I'll tell you, there was a specific play where Georgia hit him and hit him hard, and Jordan Davis landed on him, and then he got up and you seen like he had a smirk on his face. Like, all right, I'll see how it is. The next throw, he just threw a dot, and like then the scramble play where he threw it, where he was getting smacked by Nakobe Dean, and he hit the running back Brian Robinson. Not Rob Robinson. He hit somebody out.
Yes.
I know, but I think he was hurt that game. Wasn't he hurt?
No,
he played the
both
SEC
games.
championship.
He played.
But he hit the guy out of the backfield. He showed me poise, man. He showed me poise.
Who's your NFL comparable for him then?
Bryce Young.
Yeah.
More poise, Kyler Murray.
Oh, geez.
What about
All right,
my follow-ups though?
A mid-tier quarterback.
Your follow-ups. You're talking about when LSU, when
LSU, Arkansas, Auburn.
You're allowed bad games. You're allowed bad games.
Okay.
So,
and I like Bryce. I like Bryce Young too. I want that to be clear. I like Bryce Young.
I don't dislike him. I'm just not taking him number one.
Over the moon, sold on him. I don't know.
I'm not taking CJ number one either.
Real quick, just wanted to shout outs real quick, just as quick as possible. Early voting. Called that shit last week. Said I seen it before it happened. And then the PGA. Listen, you got to give Shally his credit, man. You give 4 golfers, and they all finished in the top 10. That is stupid. If Shally did put money on that, if anyone put money on that, you made a lot of fucking money.
I didn't put any money on it in finishing one or anything like that. I had 2 people that I talked to early Thursday morning. One guy, I actually talked to him today. He didn't want to. He's somebody that listens to the show a lot. He didn't want to be mentioned though. Won upwards of almost $3,000. He had Rory to finish top 10. He put money on both Justin Thomas and Zalatoris to win, and I think he parlayed Rory. I think it was Rory and Will into something else. But I think he bet around like $250 and won almost $3,000.
That is awesome.
So anytime we make you guys money, we're happy.
Let's get into You Got to Be Kidding Me. Cottrell?
All right. Why you got to be kidding me? Something that happened earlier today or late last night, however you want to look at, or not late, but Javon Kinlaw of the San Francisco 49ers had a interview with one of the San Francisco beat writers for Sports Illustrated. And basically the guy from Sports Illustrated was criticizing this play. You know, he said Javon Kinlaw hasn't been that good of a player and was just basically trashing him. So Javon Kinlaw goes on his podcast on YouTube, and he just goes on this tirade about how, you know, he would be scared of him in person, and when he was in person, like, he didn't say anything to him. And the guy's like, when did I ever attack you personally? I graded your performance on the field. That's what my job is, you know. I cover the team, and Javon Kinlaw just went on this complete tirade about how his balls were bigger than his and just so much other nonsense in the interview. Javon Kinlaw, it was completely unprofessional, especially when you're attacking a guy for just doing his job. So for that this week, Javon Kinlaw.
Come on, you gotta be kidding me.
Great stuff. Shally?
I'm going with Mr. Josh Donaldson, who I've talked about before. But if you're not familiar, they were playing the Chicago White Sox last week. There was a play at third base. There was a slide. There were words exchanged between him and Tim Anderson. And he made a reference to Tim Anderson and called him Jackie. The reference was obviously about Jackie Robinson. Tim Anderson is obviously a black baseball player. Josh Donaldson then tried to spin the story and say he had talked to Tim Anderson before, and he was referencing an interview that Tim Anderson had done with Sports Illustrated saying, you know, me or somebody like me, like, I wish, you know, kind of insinuating like we needed like a new black player to like kind of be the face of the game and you know, and really take the lead and kind of be like another Jackie Robinson. Donaldson then went on to try to like make an excuse and say that he had talked to Tim about it before, and it was kind of like an inside joke. Tim Anderson was finally interviewed and said, "I've never been friends with Donaldson. That whole thing is BS." It was pretty much a racial shot at Tim Anderson, however you want to cut it. And again, I mean, it just goes to show we just continue to have a problem with racism in sports. I've never been a big Donaldson fan as a person. I think he's a hothead. I think he's an ego maniac, but he's always been a good player. But I'm a big fan of Tim Anderson. I've talked about him numerous times on this show, and it's just another example of we continue to go backwards. MLB suspended him 1 game, and then he got put on the COVID list. I don't think he's played the last couple of days. I think he should have got more than that. But that's also requiring Rob Manfred to do the right thing. So we all know how I feel about him. But just another instance of we just need to be better. I mean, if you want to talk to somebody or, again, especially in baseball, I mean, you're around people so much, it's easy to talk to people. If you're pissed that he slid in hard or something like that, like, why is the first thing you have to go to, like, a racial insult? Like, I just don't get it. So, scumbag move from Josh Donaldson. So, for me this week.
Come on, you gotta be kidding me.
So, yeah, right along that line, you got to be kidding me this week is a serious one, too. It's St. Louis Blues fans. Nazem Kadri of the Colorado Avalanche had a collision with the Blues goaltender.
Jordan Binnington.
The Blues goaltender is now out. Jordan Binnington is now out for the series. He is hurt. And Blues fans, were very upset about that, which, I mean, any fan would be upset if there was an injury to their starting goaltender. Their goaltender was playing well. They win a game over Colorado. Like, I guess anybody would be upset about that. To take it to the extent of the racial slurs, the threats, the death threats that got sent to Kadri's house, to his phone, on Twitter, his messages. There's no place for that. I don't understand how, after all these years, we can't see people as human beings as human beings. It doesn't need to get turned into race. It doesn't need to get turned into threats. Sports is entertainment. I promise you, and you might have a couple dollars on it, but I promise you, Colorado or St. Louis aren't paying all your bills. Going there and having that type of hate to bring up hate speech and racism after your goaltender got knocked out on a clean play.
Yeah, there's nothing dirty about it.
It's just, it's sad, man. It's sad that we still live in a world where the color of your skin, your race, dictates the way people treat you. And for that, St. Louis Blues fans, this week.
Come on, you gotta be kidding me.
I think it's becoming too easy for people to lose sight of the fact that these, no matter what sport you're playing, they're still human beings. Like, I agree that sometimes we put them up too high on a pedestal where we shouldn't. But at the end of the day, to your point, like, some of those threats were taken so serious, like the cops were involved.
Police were involved. Yeah.
So you have to remember, when, especially like, that was an away game, like he's traveling, like, he's going out at night with, his teammates or whatever, going to dinner or whatever. It's not really hard to get access to, to these players. And then on top of everything else, they go home to their families just like everybody else does. They play a game, win or lose. Yeah, I get it. They make millions of dollars. They still deal with stresses and anxiety and things of that nature that the average person cannot fathom, like, at all. So, trust me, I've gone to games, I've yelled at people, anybody who knew me 10 years ago knew that was a thing. So, but you still don't, it's not a racial thing. If you go out and play bad, like, I'm going to be more pissed that you play bad.
I think anybody knows me more than anything. I hate Ben Simmons. I can't stand him.
I don't know.
I would never, ever take it to the extent that these fans take things
yes,
to.
and exactly.
It's
like,
an absolute joke.
And he's not, like, the most common situation we see, like, again, like, with mine, you see it with white players and black players. He's Muslim and I can't remember what else he is. He's Muslim and something else. So, like, again, it's just like, you're going out of your way. Like, I just don't get it, man. I mean, there's so many things. You could say you suck and You could say all those things in the world. They're used to hearing that. Like, you've seen players before. Like, you see the videos of, like...
We get on players when they can't take you suck. West Brick. We get on players for that.
But racial stuff, it's just a no-go. It's a non-starter for me. There's no argument or conversation you could ever have with me that you're going to justify it.
I agree with you. And
I'll put it that way.
For final thoughts, I have one, and you might have the same one. It's a pretty, as you probably all know, there's a really bad school shooting that just happened yesterday, and I don't want to make anything about politics or anything of that nature where the left and right get involved. I just want to send my condolences to the families, those kids and those teachers that lost their lives yesterday. So I know it's a real serious note, but I'm not playing either side of the fence. I'm not using this as a political scam. I just feel bad for the people that it happened to. So make sure you hug your loved ones. Make sure you hug your kids, your family, your teachers that you know. Give them all your support.
Yeah. I was going to touch on it briefly. I'm going to take a tad further than you. I don't care what side of your aisle that you on, what side of the aisle you identify with. I don't care how you're registered. This isn't, this has become too political of an issue, and that's part of the problem. This is a people issue. I'll ask the same question I asked anybody who's friends with me on Facebook or follows the show or, I've talked to. I'm a pro-gun guy. I own guns. I make no bones about it. I think everybody should, if you want to own a gun and you're a lawful citizen to defend your home or whatever, I think you're entitled to do that. We need other steps to be taken, though. I don't know when enough is enough. I don't know when there's enough blood spilled to make these people in Washington have the conversation that needs to be had. I just think it's a joke. I mean, you're not talking about adults shooting each other. You're talking about innocent kids that woke up, ate cereal with their parents, got dropped off, and then never came home. And that's just heartbreaking and sickening to me. It's got to get better. Something's got to change. The status quo is not working.
The somber note to end on. Katral, any final thoughts?
No, I mean, I echo all the same sentiments you guys have. Of course, thoughts and prayers to all those families out there that are affected by that. And it's just crazy. It's just enough is enough.
And I got to shout out my boys. We're going to the championship on Tuesday, bitches. Dookie Brewster next Tuesday, best out of 3. We got revenge for Gene. Gene played shorthanded. Team gave him all they had. Came up a little bit short.
We had a little bit of a COVID issue where we got put with 9 guys yesterday. Lost by 4. We gave a valiant effort. We gave a real valiant effort. I'm proud of everybody on the team.
Me and the Green Spiders won a championship, baby.
You weren't driving 6 hours out. Get out of here.
I would have hopped on the PJ.
But with that being said, episode 85 ending on a little bit of somber note. Sorry, went a little deeper on the end. But thank you guys for listening. Share us, follow us. Appreciate you. Signing out.